So I found this string trimmer using a website where you can find items being given away for free, but why even bother picking up something like this? That's simple, money. The prices for new lawn equipment has skyrocketed to insane prices. That means picking up stuff for free makes more sense than ever. But why not just buy a used working machine instead? Well, I have some terrible news for you and you're not going to like it. I know I'm already hating it myself. In today's video, we look at this Homelite string trimmer, and the problem is that I just picked it up and I'm not sure what's wrong with it. When I saw the ad for it, it was being given away along with a mower that had a massive crack in the mowing deck, so hopefully this one isn't going to be as bad as the mower. Now, I've already fixed this trimmer, and if you want to see that video, there should be a link to it at the top of the screen or at the end of the video. And I'm just going to use the video as a background while I talk about something that has me extremely worried as to what's going on in the market in regards to small engines, whether new or even used, and that's the prices. But there's a terrible twist to my theory, and it's the part that disturbs me the most. So I'm just going to come out and tell you what my theory is, and then you can look up the prices and see for yourself. The price of everything has gone up lately, and I mean by a lot, but the price of gasoline equipment seems to be going so high that it's now a better value to go electric, which was not the case a few years ago. So a mower that used to cost $169 is now $269. This is for a basic mower, which is an engine, a mowing deck, blade, and some handles. So that means if you want more bells and whistles, well, you're going to pay for it, and I mean by a lot. A mid-level mower without self-propel will cost you well over $370, which is a ripoff considering it used to be $289 only a few years ago. The issue was that in the last couple of years, the electric battery mowers, and I mean the good ones, not the entry-level stuff, has been extremely expensive, so much so that it was seen as a luxury item like buying a Tesla. However, Tesla started to make cheaper models that could be had by more people, and the exclusivity sort of disappeared. It's basically the same with electric mowers. You had some really expensive models come out, but after a few years, they started to make what I would call more affordable models. However, you do get what you pay for, and these new entry-level mowers were so terrible they were not worth the effort, but why was that? Now, to try to keep the cost down, the manufacturers of these electric mowers would offer the worst specs just so you could get your hands on one of them and not break the bank. So the voltages would be very low, 18 or 20 volts, and then they would tell you it's compatible with the battery packs that you already had. The issue was that the packs were low capacity since they were originally meant for power tools, so they didn't last all that long on just the one battery. But you finally got your battery mower just like you wanted, and you were finally helping out the environment, so you were generally satisfied. So what does that have to do with my theory then? Well, as time went by, you'd realize that you would need to buy a larger capacity battery. But if you didn't know this, they're extremely expensive, sometimes half the cost of a new battery mower. But since you already had the mower, buying a $150 battery was still cheaper than most decent mowers, at least at that time. Now, a decent mower was still extremely expensive, but they would get you in the door with the cheaper one first. Then, here's the sketchy part. Because inflation is at an all-time high, the cost of gasoline equipment seemed to skyrocket, but the price of the battery equipment only increased by a small amount. So what does that mean? That means the price differential between gasoline and batteries isn't as bad as it used to be, and now it seems to even favor battery equipment. Now, this is just what I'm seeing. This is not based on data collection or long-term research. This is just my observation. Now, if you didn't know this, I am partial to gasoline equipment, but I know its future outlook is rather bleak, but only because I feel as though a lot of folks want to be environmentally responsible, which I can respect. However, the price adjusting is something I'm not okay with. But there's still yet another issue going with batteries. From some of the comments I've gotten, many seem to have gone to batteries only to switch back to gasoline. And this switching has not gone unnoticed. So how does this affect the market then? The sales of gasoline equipment should have taken a dip at some point last year, and the sales of battery equipment should have gone up. But once people started to move back to gasoline, it almost seems like they needed to make up for lost sales revenue, and they were basically penalizing those customers and, well, every other customer who came back to gasoline. With battery and gasoline equipment both being very expensive now, there's no monetary benefit to either one, unlike last year, where it was still cheaper to get a gasoline mower in comparison to a battery one. So what other effects has this had then? Well, this is when things get nasty, so hold on tight. So in the last decade, I've been able to find a good portion of the items I use on my two channels by using a free website where items are just given away, but since the price of a new mower has basically increased by as much as 50%, that makes a broken or even a non-working mower worth something when it used to be worth nothing. The end result is that you don't find as many ads for free items as you once did. It used to be that I would see several free items that interest me in just 1 week, but now it seems like I see one or two and that's it. What that means is I'm less likely to get free items like I used to. But there's more to this problem, and if you've been paying attention, I think you might already know what I'm about to say. Now, since I haven't seen as many items being given away, what do you think is happening to them? Do you think people are holding on to them as a precious commodity? Do you think they're trying to fix them so they can save money by not paying for a new one? Or do you think they're fixing them and then selling them, that way they can ask for a higher price? I'm sorry to say this, but they're not doing any of that. Instead, they're just selling the items as is, broken and needing service, and the best part is the price. It's not $10 or $20, no, it's the price of a working mower from the year before, which in my book is an absolute ripoff. Now, you can't really blame them, can you? I mean, if a used push mower was $100 last year and is now $150, then for them to give away free money to someone would be ridiculous, right? The answer is yes, but the idea of selling something that was basically useless to them for something considerable, at least in my mind, I think is ridiculous. Of course, I would feel this way since most of the work I get happens to be freebies, but it's more than just that. What I see is a change in the market that spells disaster for the used market and sellers alike. However, I think it's even worse than that, and I think you might know where this is heading. Now, big business makes money by designing junk for us to use or consume. They don't really want us to reuse paper towels, paper plates, or even clothes. They want us to buy it, use it, and break it, and then buy it again. Otherwise, they'll be out of business, right? So what happens when they inadvertently make something that's fantastic and basically lasts forever? Well, they have to redesign it so that it's not going to last forever. Instead, it's going to last just long enough. It's a good business model. Redesign a great product to be cheaper and also just good enough that the consumer isn't going to get upset when it does break. I'm looking at you, Briggs. Now, Briggs & Stratton is not the only one doing this. My favorite brand, Honda, is even guilty of the same offense. The new model that was released a few years ago has so many corners cut that it's basically a circle now. They now have cheap wheels, cheaper recoils, and half as many fasteners as the prior model. I'm quite honestly surprised they didn't just glue everything together to save money on fasteners. Now, is it still a good product? The answer is, in relation to the prior model, no, it's not as good, but in relation to the junk that the overseas companies are sending over here, then yes, it's pretty good. Speaking of overseas junk, I've started to see more and more of these items being sold in the big box stores as an alternative to buying the extremely expensive stuff from the larger companies. The worst part is, with the prices being as high as they are, the no-name junk is looking more attractive to the wallet, but do yourself a favor and do not buy them. Now, if you thought getting the parts you needed for your machine was difficult, wait until you get a hold of this junk. But I guess if you're just going to buy it, use it, and break it, and then buy another one, then I guess these overseas companies will have you to thank when they start to push out the major brands off the shelves then. Now, don't listen to me. I'm just going on about something that's already too late to stop. So go and buy what you want and do your best to keep them running, whether that be gasoline, battery electric, or even the ones that use an extension cord. So as for me, I guess I'll be making a few phone calls to people I know with machines that might need servicing, but to be quite honest, I really enjoyed running across town to pick up something that's free, but I guess those days will be gone soon. Now, in the next video on this trimmer, I'll be trying to figure out why this pull rope is tough to pull and servicing the entire fuel system, and maybe even tuning the carb so it runs like it should. So my question is, have you noticed the prices of equipment in your area stores increasing to a point that's insane? And if not, have you seen the prices of the used items doing the same thing? Or is this all in my head? I sure hope not. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or about your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.